Hello, my name is David Cho. I am attending Walden University and I'm working towards a Master of Science in Education. This presentation is designed for course EDUC 6617 with Dr. Pamela Cole. In this presentation on June 30th, 2020, I will be presenting 6 different important principles of the learning process, why they are important, and how they can be used in the class. By the end of the course, you will be able to identify important principles to the learning process, understand its importance in student learning, and be able to develop an idea to apply at least one of these learning principles in your class. To achieve the learning goals, you will need to take notes on the main principles, illustrate a symbol for each main principle, engage in discussions when prompted. Again, you will show mastery of this presentation when you can explain the learning principles, their importance, and how you can use one in your class. Before we begin, take time to reflect on the answers to the following questions. How are you doing today? Did you have breakfast? Were you able to get at least 8 hours of sleep last night? Are you stressed? Be aware of your deficits and consider resolving those as needed. According to Poston, Maslow's hierarchy of needs states that students need to have basic needs met before they can reach higher stages such as self-actualization. This means if students' basic needs are not met, it will be difficult to engage, instruct, or assess them. If a student elicits evidence of disengagement because of lack of needs met, teachers can provide support and access to those needs. For example, I have sent students to the office to check in with a nurse, provide access to food and snacks, and referred students to school counseling. Do you remember what the slideshow is about? Can you explain why it is important to understand? And do you understand what you are expected to know at the end? Just as I have set this presentation up with the end goal in mind, it is important to have backward design in the class curriculum. Wiggins and McTighe state that good designs are produced after the learning objective is defined. The design provides clarity to the lesson both for teachers and students. There are templates that can help organize the planning of backward design, such as the UBD template. When planning, a teacher can also simply ponder, what do I want students to learn at the end of the unit? What big idea, theme, or essential understanding do I want students to have at the end? How will I assess mastery of those goals? After pondering and answering these questions, teachers can then begin planning lesson material accordingly. In my experience, I have used backward design when planning a world history course on Aztec and Inca Empire. The main goal was to determine the true heroes or villains of history using examples of Spanish conquistadors and the events that unfolded. The performance task involved rewriting the story in a view that either glorified or condemned the actions of the conquistadors. Another major principle of the learning process is incorporating multiple intelligences in the design of the curriculum. Multiple intelligences consist of 8 different modes of learning, ranging from auditory, visual, hands-on, and nature learning. According to Braldy-Timmons, the balanced use of multiple intelligences in the classroom can help students succeed because they have opportunities to better receive and demonstrate learning through their preferred learning style. In the classroom, a teacher can design an assessment that offers various ways students can demonstrate understanding. For example, I have created assessments that give students the option to write a response, present their response, record and edit their response on software program, produce or record a song, or illustrate their understanding. So far, can you find examples where you have used one of these principles in your classroom? Can you imagine what a classroom would look like without any of these principles? Another important component of the learning process is active student engagement in the class. Dr. Patricia Alexander stated that teachers are effective when they understand their students and adapt the curriculum to the interest of their students. In other words, teaching becomes learning when students find the material useful and engaging. I have found that creating relevant lessons to current world issues increases student engagement. I also found that giving students choices in assignments and assessments have increased student engagement. For example, I connected the learning of the Bill of Rights to examples of police brutality and censorship. Building a positive teacher student relationship is also an important principle in the learning process. Without relationships, students lack motivation and connection to the class, and teachers struggle to find ways to differentiate lessons to student interests and needs. According to Waterford, simply having a positive relationship with your students can increase attendance, motivation, and foster social emotional growth. Building positive relationships with students is at the core of my teaching practice. I am intentional about checking in with students, having dialogue outside of the curriculum, and making sure every student is greeted by name every day in class. For this exercise, I'd like you to imagine going an entire day without your cell phone. How about 3 days? 1 week? How would you feel? What does this tell us about the role of technology in our lives? Inclusion of technology is important in the learning process. Because the world operates on technology, it is important for students to be exposed to and understand how to use the tool effectively in learning. Washington State OSPI recognizes the importance of technological literacy and encourages teachers to utilize technology in their curriculum. I have used technology in many assignments for students, including video presentations of the history of the Islamic Empire. I also use websites such as Kahoot to provide formative assessments to students on multiple unit topics. Read, Write, Think is a website that I have used as well to allow students to create digital timelines and biographies. With professional development, collaboration, and time spent on exploring online programs, teachers can include a wide variety of technology in their curriculum. In conclusion, there are many more principles regarding the learning process, but 6 main principles were discussed in this presentation. Discuss and write your response to the following questions. Which do you feel is most important and why? What might a class look like without any learning process principles? And what does this say about the importance of the learning principles? Are there other learning principles you feel are just as important to the learning process? How will you use one of the learning principles discussed in this slideshow in your classroom? Take a moment to reflect, discuss, and respond for your assessment. The next several slides contain the sources that were used in this presentation. Thank you and have a wonderful day.